superhuman with great hair, who supposedly stars in movies sometimes, made the most interesting move of her career. She accidentally published pro-slavery propaganda in her online lifestyle magazine, Preserve. A spread entitled The Allure of Antebellum appeared in the magazine's fall issue with a word salad that extolled the satirical tastes of the white women of the Confederate South. Now, don't worry, class, okay, Petty University, so you know it gets worse. So let's read some of the descriptions that Blake's site published that I dug up from Pell. I mean the archives. Georgia peaches, sweet tea, and the enticement of a smooth twang. We all love a bit of Southern charm. These regional mainstays, along with an innate sense of social poise, evoke an unparalleled warmth and authenticity in style and tradition. That's why we chose this cup today, okay? We were having an antebellum segment, so how could I not have style and tradition? But for real, at first glance, I'm like, okay, maybe she didn't know the dark and violent history of the era, and she's just referring to the Southern aesthetic. Like every new piece of fashion pulls from the old. There's nothing inherently wrong with liking lace and bonnets and how style from old times evolves into something new. We all more or less wear clothing taking from hard times in one way or another. Doesn't mean you're bad. But it was the line, authenticity and style and tradition, that got me. Tradition of what? And then I realized, oh no, she knows exactly what she's celebrating. Quote, the term Southern Belle came to fruition during the antebellum period prior to the Civil War, acknowledging women with an inherent social distinction who set the standards for style and appearance.
Son of a bitch.
What in the whole grain hell? Why did I get out of bed for this? Let's keep reading. These women epitomize Southern hospitality with a cultivation of beauty and grace, but even more with a captivating and magnetic sensibility. While at times depicted as coy, these belles of the ball in actuality could command attention with the ease of a hummingbird relishing a pastoral bloom. Cool. So, since y'all watching are on the honor roll of Petty University, let's have a bit of a history lesson from an adjunct professor of Africana Studies and American Studies, Dr. Jason Kelly, who is the founding director of the IU Indianapolis Arts and Humanities Institute and professor of history at Indiana University, Indianapolis. In his essay titled The Lost Cause and the Antebellum Imagination, he explains about the ways the myth of the lost cause is embedded into our culture and explains the antebellum imagination, a way of thinking that effaces the history of enslavement and violence and instead imagines a glorious period of great houses, refined manners, and fancy dresses. He discusses things like, oh, I don't know, plantation weddings, Aunt Jemima, and even Plantation Barbie, which was produced in 1960 during the peak of the civil rights movement, because why the hell not? This is so diabolical, we're going to upgrade. Like, remember when the extremely popular country pop band Lady Antebellum literally changed their name to Lady A after huge backlash for them naming their band a racist term? Tammy Winfrey Harris wrote a critique of the name way back in 2011 for Ms. Magazine that said, quote, Lady Antebellum seems to me an example of the way we still, nearly 150 years after the end of the Civil War, nearly 50 years after the Civil Rights Act, and in a supposedly post-racial country led by a biracial president, glorify a culture that was based on the violent oppression of people of color. Now, 10 years later, they finally changed their name to Lady A, only to then sue a black female artist who was already using the name Lady A for the past 20 years, but you know, it's the thought that counts, right? Or remember that time on that show, The Bachelor, where contestant Rachel Kirkconnell had to explain to the Bachelor Matt James, who happens to be black, that she attended an antebellum party after pictures with a Confederate flag turned up online.
Now, you knew Matt, a black man, was going to be the Bachelor. You also knew these photos existed. How often did you lay awake at night worried that eventually these photos might come out and could ruin your life?
Like, being completely honest, I didn't think about it one time.
And remember how longtime host Chris Hansen was literally removed from the show permanently after he defended Rachel before she even spoke about it?
Well, Rachel, is it a good look in 2018 or is it not a good look in 2021?
It's
because
not
there's
a
a big
good
difference.
look ever, because she's celebrating the Old South. If I went to that party, what would I represent at that party?
So yeah, it's kind of a big deal to glorify the pre-Civil War South while ignoring the brutal, horrifyingly racist bits. But as Blake Lively, who apparently was longing for the allure of antebellum, would say, it's time that we, quote, embrace the season and the magic below the Mason-Dixon with styles as theatric as a Dixie draw. Embrace the magic below the Mason-Dixon. That's what she said. The Mason-Dixon line. Embrace the magic, the literal geographic boundary line that during the Civil War separated the free states of the North from the slave states of the South. Blake Lively's post is literally saying, let's embrace the magic of the slave states before the war, antebellum, when slavery was alive and well. There's really no other way to read that than racist. Oh, for f***'s sake, I'm trying to get to the mess around the movie, but now we gotta talk about blueberry muffins. I am so annoyed. Hold my tea.
Hey, careful, man. There's a beverage here.
So, if a plantation wedding, plantation clothing line, and love letter to the antebellum days gone by wasn't enough, Blake Lively somehow made blueberry muffins, or should I say bluesberry muffins, racially insensitive. For Valentine's Day in 2015, on her website Preserve, Blake decided to co-opt the pain and suffering of the Black community and turn it into a sales pitch for her blueberry muffin recipe. Quote, the blues began in the Deep South as a means to voice injustice and hardship in the African American community. I'm sorry, I can't even. Oh, this is hard for me to get through. The blues evoke a time and a place that romances us with nostalgia. Let's go there. Blue looks good on you, baby, and tastes good too. Cozy up with our Best of the Blues playlist and indulge in another distinctly American tradition. A blueberry muffin recipe that offers a sweet escape and a cheesy twist. Ain't nobody's business if you do. Yeah, oh, also, did I forget to remind everyone that Valentine's Day is in February, which is literally Black History Month, so I guess you're welcome, Black people. When someone's track record is repeatedly telling you who they are over and over and over for years, it's okay to believe them. Oh, and in case you wanted to bake these blueberry muffins, the recipe will cost you $168. Okay, I'm done. Class dismissed. Website and lifestyle blog shut down, but Blake was still busy with other roles of Age of Adeline, A Simple Favor, and did anyone see this movie? And that's when Justin Baldoni called.
I remember meeting Blake for the first time, and she was so disarming, and she felt so approachable. Lily needs to be another woman. Lily needs to be someone that women like. I never wanted us to be in a situation where we were judging Lily, and so I wanted to cast somebody who could really protect her. I had a 3-hour meeting with Blake the first time we ever met. Shortly after that meeting, I texted her and I said, you are the people.
It seems like Justin was excited about casting Blake at first, but even before the premiere, avid members of the cohort were already critiquing the choices of the film. In the novel, Lily is a 23-year-old recent college graduate, and Blake Lively is not. She's older than that, which I can understand how some might feel, I don't know.
I'm so displeased with the It Ends With Us cast announcement. Blake Lively? Lily is supposed to be a redhead. Lily is supposed to be like 22 years old. What? Huh?
This is nothing new in the entertainment industry, and these are fictional characters. Blake is an actor whose job is to play a character that happens all the time. And like, if you think about it, no one seemed to have a problem about Blake playing a 16-year-old in Gossip Girl when she was 20, or Chase Crawford playing a teenager when he was 22. Like I said, it happens all the time. And now that I think about it, no one had a problem with fictional 16 and 17-year-olds constantly drinking in bars while fictionally underage in Gossip Girl, but whatever.
Also, not to be a dick, Blake can't act her way out of a fucking paper bag. So how is she gonna bring the gravitas that Lily motherfucking Bloom has to go through? And Justin Baldoni, I don't know who Justin Baldoni is.
Now, if we really want to play devil's advocate, men actually get cast in roles that are younger than their real age all the time. I think more so than women, and people don't care. Like when 30-year-old Nepo baby Ben Platt starred in Dear Evan Hansen as a teenage kid with a permanent 5 o'clock shadow. And while ageism exists across industries and for all genders, women in Hollywood, and honestly, like, I just like women everywhere, have been forced into living with a misogynistic ticking clock put on them the minute they hit age 25. I mean, just ask Leonardo DiCaprio.
But the 47-year-old actor is officially single again after splitting from his girlfriend of 5 years, Camilla Morone, just weeks after she celebrated her 25th birthday. The American actress is now the 8th woman Leo has called it quits with before they turn 26. And the breakup has now reignited the divisive theory that Leo will not publicly date anyone over the age of 25.
I know I talk about this often, but I think it's important to try to like obliterate the stigma because trust me, if you're teens, 20s, shaming women who are older than you, that's gonna happen to you when you're older. So just what if you just stop it now and then it maybe doesn't happen to you later? Like, let alone the misogynistic, ageist prison that society places women inside in their 30s, as if managing to stay alive past 29 is somehow a fucking bad thing. While men get to age like fine wine, women are expected to look forever young, and I'm just kind of forever tired seeing women constantly being shamed, often by other women, for the fact that, gasp, she managed to survive life and had another birthday. How dare she stay alive? We must not let her be relevant in anything. She is 30 and above, for God's sakes. Honestly, the smartest women I know are in their like 50s, 60s, and beyond. So to those who participate and perpetuate shaming women for their age, may ageism haunt you every day you're older than 25 for the rest of your life. With peace and love, of course. Now, ironically, as you might guess, some people also pointed out that Justin Baldoni, who is now 40, made more sense since, you know, he's supposed to be a neurosurgeon, which yes, but then if we're being fair, if the film cast a woman who was in her young 20s and Justin is 40, then people would be outraged that these actors with real-life age gaps are enacting love scenes because people have become unbearable with the selective outrage. So then I'd have to ask, are we pushing for actors with significant real-life age gaps to do scenes and abuse scenes together? Like, I've literally been sitting on a script for months about the outrage that people had when 21-year-old Jenna Ortega played a role in the film Miller's Girl, acting opposite Martin Freeman, who in real life is 52. Some people got really angry about the real-life age gap of the actors, even though they are actors just doing their jobs, and the film was literally about the topic of age gaps. But I'm just like, oh, if people get angry at actors having age gaps, then why are we angry when actors don't have age gaps? I'm just asking questions. All right, you know the saying, don't judge a book by its cover and don't judge a film until it's released, right? Starting with the world premiere on August 6th in New York. But as Blake, Justin, and the rest of the cast walked the red carpet and posed for photos, viewers couldn't help but notice Justin and Blake weren't taking any photos together. In fact, Justin wasn't being photographed with any of the other cast members. Now, a little online sleuthing found that the entire cast had unfollowed Justin Baldoni, including Blake, which on the surface doesn't look good for Justin. But again, books, covers, don't judge, and he was still following them. But even author Colleen Hoover wasn't following him. Gasp. Colleen Hoover, the woman who had trusted this man to direct the adaptation, the woman who had just months earlier been promoting the film arm in arm with Justin, this woman.
One of my favorite moments of the entire 5 years of making this film was the very first test screening that we had. Colleen and her mom came out, and her mom couldn't even talk. She was just so grateful. And she was in tears, and she gave me the biggest hug. And I told her in that moment, I said, you know, this was for you. Thank you for your bravery and for choosing something different for yourself so that Colleen could, you know, write this book and impact millions and millions and millions of people.
So it was clear that something was off. Blake went to attend international premieres while Justin stayed in New York for additional screenings, and it got even weirder when Colleen Hoover made her TikTok account private and stopped posting, not only cutting off her beloved cohort, but leaving a huge marketing boon on the table by not using her social media to promote the film or bring awareness to the topic of DV, which is kind of the entire purpose of the book in the first place. You know, stop the cycle, it ends with us. The cast has continued to stay quiet about whatever disagreements may or may not have occurred, but we'll get to some insider intel from the set a little later. My gosh, that has got to be the most drama thing that I have ever said in a swoop talk. It's not drama, it's dangerous, but sometimes it's drama. Sorry. In the meantime, as things started getting a little fishy during Justin and Blake's separate press interviews, it became clear to people that these two appeared to be in it for very different reasons. For the most part, Justin has stayed on task when it comes to promoting the message of the film and bring awareness to DV. Remember, while we're not focused on the details, the film itself is serious, with very graphic and violent scenes around DV.
The fans of the book in 2019, when I optioned it, were passionate, and this book meant something to them. And there were so many real-life Lily Blooms who had read this book and changed their situation. And that's what I wanted to protect. And I wanted to honor those fans and the people that have experienced what Lily experiences in this movie. Well, now, of course, every time you're adapting a book to screen, you have to change things because you don't have 400 pages of real estate. The things that we change, we try to do very intentionally, and we tried to keep the emotional journey and through line as identical as possible.
I'm gonna be real with y'all. This entire interview with Justin, in my opinion, is kind of spot on. Like, spot on in ways that I honestly wouldn't have expected from a director of a fictional film that touches heavily on very real themes of abuse. Justin felt a sense of responsibility not only to Colleen, the fans, and to the book, but also to uplift those who have experienced DV and maybe even saw themselves in Lily's character. Even his explanation about humanizing Ryle's character is very delicate, because he explains how by humanizing Ryle, even though what Ryle does is awful, it protects the character Lily, and by proxy protects the discourse around survivors in real life, where Lily continues to love Ryle even though he's awful to her.
Oh, I think the most challenging aspect of playing Ryle was finding a way to make him human. Because I had to take myself out of it, because I think I had so much anger and judgment towards what he does. And he does things that are simply unforgivable, and that will never be okay in any situation. And yet I had to go in and understand why. It was really important to me to make him a fully developed person who had hopes and dreams and feelings, and it was really important for me to make sure that the audience understood why Lily was with him. Whoever was going to be playing Ryle, it was really important that we like him. We understand why she's with him, because that protects Lily's character throughout the movie. That people could understand why she loved him and why the choice was so hard.
I think this level of nuance and care around the viewers, people like me who are survivors, respecting the fact that oftentimes survivors don't leave their abusers for a myriad of reasons, and how important that was to not shame us with the film. I think that's pretty impressive based on his decade-long track record of giving a and the consultants he brought on throughout the making of this film, which we'll discuss later. I think there's a strong likelihood that he's being pretty genuine here, again, just looking at it as an outsider. And one thing's for sure, if you didn't know what the film was about and you saw his promotions for the film, you would have a pretty thorough trigger warning and understanding that the film was about DV, and not get caught off guard when going to see the film. Now, most of you know where this is headed. Let's compare Justin's interview clip to Blake's interview when she was asked specifically about DV survivors relating to the film and wanting to share their experience with her.
I'm going to jump into this, and Blake, I'm going to start with you. Most of us, if we're lucky enough to run into a celebrity in public, we only have a few moments to maybe speak with you guys. But for people who see this movie, who relate to the topics of this movie on a deeply personal level, they're really going to want to talk to you. This movie is going to affect people, and they're going to want to tell you about their lives. So if someone understands the themes of this movie, comes across you in public, and they want to really talk to you, what's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this? How would you recommend they go about it?
Asking for my address or my phone number or my location share. Or I could just location share you, and then we could I'm just curious.
Social security number.
I'm a Virgo. Are we talking logistics? Are we talking emotionally?
Yeah, jokes, laughs, complete dismissal of the question, and that pissed people all the way off. The fact that she gave a sarcastic non-answer to a genuine question about DV and survivors during an interview to promote a movie that deals with the topic of DV, it's called media training, babe. Now, I'm not saying Blake needed to get super serious. I'm not saying she can't make a joke. I'm not saying that at all. But the dismissal of survivors when directly asked left a lot of people angry and upset, and I can understand that. We're talking about a film about DV, and people who have survived in real life are going to feel things. That's the point of the film. And when asked if someone runs into you in public and feels compelled to share their experience, the interviewer is literally asking, how could someone do that appropriately, right? Not cross boundaries, hopefully. And Blake dismissed that completely, and instead the viewers got what felt like a condescending answer about location sharing and whatever the hell else that was.
Social security number.
Now, to paint a fuller picture, and something I don't really hear anyone talking about, I've watched many Blake Lively interviews, way more than I ever. Yeah, and I just, across the board, kind of get the feeling that Blake is trying to come off the same way her husband Ryan Reynolds does in his interviews, where everyone thinks he's just the funniest guy, we all love Brian, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, God. It's cool. It's not every day the husband gets to interview his wife's love interest in a film. It's kind of crazy.
I don't remember seeing this on the schedule.
Dive in, shall we? So I saw you posing in a photo with Mrs. Reynolds, and I'm sorry, what do you call her? Do you have a nickname or no? Okay, no, just so it's Mrs. Okay. Anyway, I saw this photo. It was very suggestive. So I got it right here. How do you explain that? Is that genetics? You have some sort of like low-angle SWAT routine to pop that region in that way? I mean, what's going on here, man?
When I initially saw Blake's location share answer, I was like, okay, this is just Blake trying to be funny. Many people start their answer to a question with a joke and then they get to the point. There's nothing wrong with that. We can tell jokes and talk about serious stuff too. I promise it's okay to tell some jokes and also be serious in the same conversation. But, dear friends, after the location share jokes, that's where most coverage of this stops the clip because the rest isn't as sensational. But we're not going to stop it there. We're going to get past the failed attempt at humor and play the rest because we are learned bitches. Yes, context matters. She does go on to answer it more, and the rest of her answer, in my opinion, actually gets worse and completely disregards DV survivors, like entirely, where she only acknowledges viewers who are not DV survivors, viewers who haven't been abused, who don't relate to Lily's character. Here's the rest.
I'm a Virgo, so I'm like, are we talking logistics? Are we talking emotionally? Yeah, what's been beautiful about this movie is that, like, unfortunately, we all know at least someone, but we normally know, like, a lot more than someone. We know some manys who have experienced this. And the beauty of this has been to see people and to see this movie alongside women who haven't experienced this, thank goodness, go, whoa, it was, I fell in love too. I saw the red flags, but they didn't look red. They looked kind of fuchsia and cute.
The most beautiful part was seeing people who aren't abuse survivors fall in love with the movie. Okay. I watched this and I'm like, oh, we were right there. You had one job. It was one specific question to acknowledge the survivors that your character represents, but like maybe say something. Maybe listen, I understand it's lovely when people who don't relate get more understanding of living through very difficult scenarios of abuse, but why are we going out of our way to not acknowledge the people that the film does represent? I am confusion.
And the story is told with such empathy that I feel like this movie can be healing, it can be a cautionary tale, and it can also it can be inspiring.
Empathy to who? The people who thankfully haven't endured abuse? Those are the only people that she's acknowledged so far in this. And again, I'm just asking questions.
And the story is told with such empathy that I feel like this movie can be healing, it can be a cautionary tale, and it can also it can be inspiring. So I think that the movie itself and Colleen's work itself does that work. And for anyone, if anyone ever comes up to you and says that your work meant something to them outside of just having that collective experience in a theater where you laugh and cry and feel together, like, what a blessing.
So she jokes about location sharing, which fine, have a giggle. But when the jokes are over, she doesn't acknowledge the people who have lived the violence that her character is living, but instead comments on how nice it is for people to appreciate her work. And again, I am confusion. Listen, we don't want to gatekeep conversations. I'm going to keep saying that throughout all of this. And in the same breath, Blake nonchalantly avoided even having the conversation when that's the point of the film, and that hurt a lot of people. Like, Blake's nonchalantness about victims kind of reminds me of her being nonchalant about the plantation antebellum blueberry bowl for years. I'm just like, how about being chalant for once? Is that the word? Is chalant a word? I don't know. A little chalant would go a long way. Now, after I wrote this segment, I did a little more digging, and wouldn't you know, the man who interviewed Blake in that clip was interviewed after that clip went viral, and here's what he had to say.
After she made those comments about my initial question, she did go on to answer the question. That part isn't necessarily ending up in anyone's viral TikTok videos, but it does just yield a bigger conversation of, an actor who does press for a movie about such a serious topic. You gotta talk about it, and oftentimes, that's as much as we love doing fun interviews with these actors and kind of having that moment. I always sort of use the bar of let the tone of the movie set the tone for the interview.
So I agree that people clipped out the rest of her answer and agree that the tone of the film often dictates the tone of the interview. Jokes are allowed. It helps us all relate. It's okay. And I think the interviewer is, of course, trying not to ruffle feathers.
And if you're doing an interview for a movie about domestic violence, you know, you should be looking for that fun, funny, viral moment. You gotta have a real honest conversation because it is something that affects people every single day.
The interviewer's first question is very specific, and her answer came across as though survivors don't really exist, while complimenting the people who are blessed enough to not have been abused. And so then if you contrast that with what Justin is saying in like all of his interviews, it paints a very telling picture of discrepancies going on here.
This is your night, mister.
No, this isn't my night. This is a night for all the women who we made this movie for. This is a night for Blake. This is a night for Colleen. I'm just so grateful that we're here. 5 years in the making.
Compassionate, refuses praise, acknowledges survivors, and praises the women involved. While people thought that Blake was dismissive to the survivors impacted, the only person Justin was dismissive to was himself. Boundaries for public figures, boundaries for anyone are important, and maybe that's what Blake's initial location share jokes were trying to convey, right? That she had boundaries about how people approach her in public. I can totally respect that. Seeing it clipped out to just that part isn't telling the full picture. If that's where the interview actually ended, I would say, cool, she expressed her boundaries, but that's not how it ended, and so then a lot of people were upset and hurt, right? So if I had to weigh in, just, you know, as a survivor on what I would have liked to have heard her say, for whatever it's worth, and like, honestly, we're just gonna move on. But, you know, she could have set her boundaries in the interview respectfully and say, you know what, I totally empathize with a survivor who might sadly relate to the film. My heart is with them, but I don't feel properly equipped to help someone because I don't personally relate to the experience of survivors. Please visit these resources listed below. Like, I think that could have done wonders to help people. It's unfortunate that it didn't go that way. Which, by the way, on a quick serious note, I know I say this in nearly every doc, but I think it's worth saying again. If any of you have or are currently living through DV, please know there are free resources that can help support you, like rain.org. I promise you don't have to live through this alone. You are valid and worthy in how you're feeling, and you are worthy of a better life, free from the pain and confusion that you feel. Please do not feel ashamed if you can't see any way out. I understand. I hear you. But I promise there are options if and when you're ready. And if you're concerned about someone in your life checking your browser history, and it might put you in danger if they find out that you were looking at these resources, please do visit the site using like a private browser mode or clear your browser history afterwards. And just know that you will get through this. I truly believe that. Okay, back to things less heavy because I too need a break before I trigger myself into oblivion.
Because we do have it starts with us, so I'm hoping to see you back in the double duty role.
I think there are better people for that one.
Justin.
I think Blake Lively's ready to direct. That's what I think. So, yeah.
So clearly there's tension here, but we still have no idea what happened on set that caused the rift between them. And until we know, the public was only seeing more confusing takes on the press tour, which made it all the worse.
Hello, Blake Lively here. Colleen Hoover. And It Ends With Us is in theaters now, so grab your friends, wear your florals, and head out to see it.
Share the emotion. Share the experience.
You can imagine that grab your friends and wear your florals did not at all give people who didn't know what the film was about the knowledge that the film was about DV. It sounded very much like a rom-com. So when it's being promoted as a fun, fabulous girls' night out romance flick, encouraging you to share the emotion, share the experience. Number one, why would you want to share that experience? And there's zero acknowledgement about DV. People were very upset when they sat in the theater. It's almost like Blake and Justin were on two completely different press tours for two completely different films. Justin was here to talk openly about DV and survivors while having a chuckle here and there, and Blake was here to not talk about that and promote the film like a fun time with a twist that you don't want to miss, except the twist was DV. Yay, Miss DV, come on down! Come on down! Told you, we're keeping this light. There were also moments that it felt less like a press tour to promote the film and more as promoting the massively successful power couple that is Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds.
Why is Deadpool Wolverine sold out? I'm sorry, I got distracted back there. I feel offended, but we're not out yet. That's fine. I'm happy about that. No, I didn't even answer it. Sorry, it's like flashing sold out.
Ryan's here tonight. What is it like for the both of you to be promoting major motion pictures at the same time?
Oh my gosh, it's just so thrilling in our house right now. We help each other. We work together so much.
I mean, you do have to applaud a marriage where both spouses are supportive of each other's careers. Ryan ended up working on It Ends With Us, but not as an actor and not always in an ethical way, which we'll be getting to that later. But in general, the way Blake promoted this film, or the way she was told to promote this film, often made it seem like a summer rom-com.
Compatible are zodiac signs. I'm a Virgo. What are you? I'm a Libra. Sagittarius. Ooh, yeah.
That is what my baby was supposed to be, but then she's a Capricorn.
You guys, we talked about our movie Not At All. Thanks for joining us. In theaters August 9th.
Yeah.
That's a wrap, guys. We got it.
Great. I think that'll sell
Enemy UAV.
Nothing about the topics the movie is covering, which leaves many audience members who haven't read the book in for a rude awakening. Just look at this trailer. There's like literally no indication of DV throughout this whole thing other than a nebulous temper moment. And sadly, the film did have a triggering effect for some who weren't aware the film wasn't a rom-com. Quote, dude, movies have got to start disclosing that there are R-word scenes, abuse in them. Left It Ends With Us triggered AF because I thought it was a rom-com and almost went and saw Blink twice thinking it was just a thriller, and then someone came out and said it's about R. Like, bro. But on the flip side, there were some interesting comments mentioning that yes, they were triggered, but the film also did a phenomenal job portraying DV. Just watched It Ends With Us, and all I can say is Justin Baldoni did an excellent job. If you ever experienced DV in firsthand, there's no way you didn't get triggered by his acting and that face before they lash out at you. Watch It Ends With Us triggered me in so many ways, but now I have to read the book because I loved it. Now, these aren't outlier comments either. A lot of viewers mentioned that the film triggered them as a survivor, but that it was also very well done. It Ends With Us becoming a major motion picture means that there will be more discussion and increased awareness about DV, and that's a great thing. Whether or not you feel that trigger warnings are necessary, and people have presented valid points to both sides. Part of the issue many people have is the marketing of the film, or rather Blake's approach to marketing the film being kind of out of step with the message of the film, where again, in stark contrast, Justin continued to underscore and acknowledge survivors and victims of the film.
And I wanted to make sure this film always had a female gaze, and I was never putting myself into it. But one of the things that I think is very easy to say, especially for us men, the question that's always asked is, why did she stay? And that's the wrong question. What we need to be asking ourselves is, why do men harm? My intention from the very beginning, the first conversations I ever had about this movie, was I wanted the film to reflect Lily's emotional journey, to be in her mind in a way that an audience could understand the complexity, to choose something better for herself than what was chosen for her. What comes to mind isn't so much about the work that went into it, but about the why behind it.
What was the why for you?
The why was that if a Lily Bloom in real life could sit in this theater and maybe make a different choice for herself than was made for her, maybe she sees herself on that screen and she leaves the theater and chooses something different for herself. That's why I made the movie.
That's a beautiful why, right?
What do you want men to take away from this film?
First of all, I want men to stop asking the question, why did women stay?
Yeah.
Right? I want men to take accountability. I want men to hold other men accountable. And my other hope is that the men who have not done the work, who have not done the work to heal, if they see bits of themselves in Ryle, have a chance to step back and say, you know what, I don't want to blow up my life. I don't want to hurt the person I love the most. I need to get help. And hopefully that can create some compassion and empathy and make the world a safer place.
Now, when it comes to talking about DV, maybe Blake was afraid she might say the wrong thing, but the question would be like, you studied the character, and one would think that there was some training or that you would have learned something throughout the course of this production, because here's the thing, there was a production consultant working lock in step throughout the production. The consultant, the No More Foundation, a group dedicated to ending domestic and violence by increasing awareness, inspiring action, and fueling culture change. Now, the person who brought on the foundation to consult, Justin Baldoni. Yeah, the man's consistent. Quote, Justin Baldoni's production company, Wayfarer Studios, is partnering with the No More Foundation to provide resources and information related to the abuse depicted in Baldoni's latest film, It Ends With Us. Through an end card running in the film's credits and a dedicated page on their website, No More aims to offer survivors of D and SV and their loved ones easy access to help. Most notably, the No More Global Directory connects people to support services in the U.S. and 200 countries and territories around the world. Wayfarer Studios has an ambitious mission. We aspire to create projects that are both commercial and truly make a difference in the lives of our viewers.
I was looking for films for our company, Wayfarer Studios, and we had just started the studio that could be, one, commercially viable, because of course we want to make money, but more than that, could share some deep truth that maybe help a group of people feel seen, or reach into somebody's heart and inspire them to make a change in their life. That's what matters. And that's why, for me, that's why I'm in this business. That's why I want to do storytelling. storyteller, because those are the movies that impacted me.
Which, sidebar, contrary to the selective outrage that some people increasingly have, which I have seen especially with this film, it actually is okay for a production company or a filmmaker or even like a creator to earn income spending their time covering important stories that bring more awareness and education to dark topics of trauma like EV. When people get mad at films or documentaries or commentary think pieces or articles that are about things like abuse, it's counterproductive and encourages less content being made to amplify these stories. And you really want to keep talking to destigmatize talking about this stuff. I saw people like who were selectively saying to creators like Justin, like, you're just profiting off of trauma when they tell these stories, which means they think that filmmakers shouldn't earn income to feed their families because they chose to spend their time dedicated to amplifying important stories. That makes no sense. People want to hear these stories. People went out in droves to watch films like this. They watch content about this stuff. They want to learn. And I think gatekeeping storytellers is weird. If filmmakers can't pay their bills while spending years of their lives telling difficult stories, then these stories would never get amplified because they will have to drop it and tell other stories like, I don't know, an action blockbuster or a gaming video. And I mean, no shade to that content. They'll just make the content that they're allowed to make, and stories about DV, think pieces, educational pieces, those articles, op-ed pieces that have ads running next to them, those won't get made. It'll have to rely on random passion projects that can't get funding because how dare you get a budget to talk about abuse? So congratulations. That shuts off the conversation and is counterproductive. We want people telling stories. And also, when I look at that type of discourse online, like people who say that only say it about someone or like a specific film or content that they've already decided they don't like it's never consistent. They'll condemn one person to high hell and then praise their fave for doing exactly the same thing. In my opinion, I want the Justin Baldonis of the world to get huge budgets by huge studios to make important films or documentaries. I want him to make a decent income for his years-long work on a project because that keeps his lights on, it keeps his studio's lights on, allowing them to make another important film, and then another one, and then another one, and continue to amplify stories that matter and do things like this. Quote, we've partnered with No More because we want to ensure that Wayfarer Studios projects, specifically those that address domestic and SV and abuse, are made with purpose and intention to educate, support, and ultimately provide resources for viewers who may see themselves via their current situation on screen. Now, Justin and No More also teamed up to create an It Ends With Us viewer's guide. And this is really cool. It's an 8-page doc that you can view online that provides education on patterns of abuse, warning signs, like how to have a healthy relationship, and tons of resources for survivors. I'll make sure to link to their organization in the description. Wayfarer Studios and No More also released a toolkit to help other organizations use the film to help spread awareness and social media campaigns to help stop the cycle. This collaboration builds on Wayfarer's existing partnership with No More, which served as a content advisor on It Ends With Us, both within the script and throughout the pre- and post-production, to help ensure that domestic and SV were portrayed as accurately and sensitively as possible. And with this partnership, Justin made sure to keep the focus on survivors. After working with No More and hearing the stories of so many of these women where there are women who chose to go back because there is love or it's safer for them, he added, there's many reasons why women choose to stay in relationships like this, and it's looking at it from a place of non-judgment and having compassion, and also showing that the abuse looks different. Honestly, this partnership is impressive. Justin Baldoni went the extra 1,000 miles to work with the No More Foundation, and all these resources and constant press that he intentionally brought to the foundation. I rarely see films take such extra time and care to provide these additional resources when they legitimately don't have to. People also forget that no one has to do this. No one has to provide resources or cover stories and uplift and amplify victims. So I have a lot of respect for this partnership.
I was introduced to a young woman who is maybe in her late 20s. She told me that she was in an abusive relationship, and she's been trying to get out, and she read the book. And the book made her rethink everything, and it gave her the strength to start to take the necessary steps to leave. And then she saw the trailer for the movie, and she started talking to her therapist, and she told me that she wanted this with a scream, and she wanted to come because she was hoping that the movie would give her the strength to finally leave. And this happened this other night, to say her name or call her out. She was why I made the movie.
And it makes it all the more confusing why Blake Lively almost never acknowledged DV survivors, why she always talked around it, why she promoted floral print dresses often more than she did the message of the film. Does she have to? Nope, but she had the No More Foundation as consultants the whole time, so it would have been nice being that she plays the survivor in the film. Instead, we got more moments like this.
Everyone tends to want to talk about why this is such an important film and why it's so empowering.
Yes, they do. Go on.
And I think that is really important. But I think what's beautiful about this film is there is every color of human emotion.
Okay, what just happened? Like, she said everyone wants to talk about what it's about, meaning DV. She says that's important and then changes the subject?
There's levity, there's joy, there's humor, there's hope, there's pain, there's tragedy, there's violence, there's trauma, there's sadness, there's exaltation, there's you know.
I promise it's actually okay to just say there's DV. It is a film about DV.
There's you know, life, there's death, there's like love, there's loss, there's just, I mean, really, like, it is a kaleidoscope of the human experience.
I got nothing.
And not just the female experience. Like, yes, this is Lily's story and this is her journey, but the men's characters in this movie are incredibly powerful, dynamic characters. And I think that, you know, for the women I know who have seen this movie who have experienced any similar pain, whether exactly or adjacent to what Lily's experienced, have felt really seen by it.
It's okay to talk about the DV in the film.
I mean, you know, in the poster and throughout we say, you know, you can break the pattern before the pattern breaks us, and I think that's like a more literary way to say it, but it's beautiful to see patterns and to see people see the patterns and go, I'm not going to do that, and then do it, and then some end it and some don't, and I think that there's real empathy for both sides.
This is like, it's just so bizarre to go so far out of your way to not just say what the film is about.
I think that oftentimes when I think of films that have portrayed, you know, I mean, don't call it what it is. It's you know, violence against women. They often paint a picture that's a bit more black and white.
Oh, thank God! Finally, the first clip that I could find after hours of digging. Finally, I'm so glad.
And while I've you know, it's silly to say I've been fortunate to not experience anything that Lily has. Yeah, it shouldn't be fortunate, but it's all too often that women experience this. And so I think that the reason that it feels very authentic is because it was as if I were experiencing this. What would my heart feel? What would my reactions be? And that's what I tried to bring to it, because I felt like that was the way that I could give everyone the most authentic Lily.
She hasn't experienced this, thankfully. So, but I'm a little lost at the dancing around it and then saying that she brought more of her personal self into the role to make Lily, a character living through DV that she thankfully hasn't experienced, to make Lily feel more authentic as someone who doesn't relate.
So the way that I react to a situation, you know, instead of doing like exactly what's on the page, if she's gonna react this way, I may feel the exact same feeling, but I may not react the way that it's written that she reacts. And so I really tried to overlay the honesty of my heart and emotions onto Lily. And I think that that's why the performance is one that I'm very proud of, because it feels very authentic and true to like an emotional journey that I can track.
I got nothing.
You don't often see messy women in films. And so to be able to be a woman who's contradicting herself, but yet it makes complete sense, and seeing the messiness of the human experience, I think is a beautiful thing to see, because it makes people feel seen and not alone. And I know that's how I felt when I read Lily.
Messy woman. I can't help but personally wonder if Blake Lively is suggesting that survivors are just messy and contradictory. So, let's move on. To be fair, we have to ask more questions. Are people being too harsh on Blake? Are people holding her up to an impossible standard when she's just an actor in a film? She doesn't have to be an advocate. Is the criticism unfairly balanced and directed only at the woman and not the man, and therefore misogynistic? Maybe it's not Blake's responsibility to discuss DV all of the time or any of the time. Again, she's an actress playing a role. Does that necessarily mean she needs to become an advocate for the cause? No, she doesn't. Like, if an actor plays a serious serial killer, do we expect them to become an advocate for killers? No, we don't. So in the interest of being fair, I think to certain degrees, the same consideration should be given. And I'm not talking about considerations given about the whole antebellum and all of that nonsense. But in the same breath, doing press junkets where you're asked specifically about survivors and you talk around the subject until the public pressure then makes you, when you get like an Instagram post, I think she posted like a resource on Instagram which disappeared in 24 hours, then what are we doing here? Now, on a lighter note, that's not to say that Blake didn't promote anything at all, because while Justin uses interview opportunities to highlight the issues of TV, Blake also launched her brand new hair care line, Blake Brown, which launched just a few days before the release of the movie, which I'll get into in a moment because you understand people are pretty mad about this, but not as mad as I am for Blake Brown having zero representation for black and natural hair testers in the marketing and hardly anyone talking about that. So there's that. Again, consider the plantation wedding, the plantation clothes, the antebellum, the bluesberry muffins, the zero representation in hair. I can't help but ask the question, is there a theme here? I'm just asking questions. Allegedly. I mean, honestly, let's be real, she probably knew not to even bother representing our natural hair because she knew we ain't gonna buy this shit anyways. But now, back to the people being pissed about the launch date, because I think that is likely misplaced outrage. There are articles written about how Blake Lively used the film to coincide with her hair care line as a devious self-promotion, and the people of the internet would have you believe that Blake was talking about Blake Brown in every interview on every red carpet. To be fair, I looked for a clip for that for like an entire hour, and then I gave up because my gosh, this doc is already very long. The best I could find was this, where the interviewer is the one who brought it up at the very end of the interview.
Congratulations again, and Blake, I'm literally heading to Target to get my Blake Brown.
Honestly,
I just released it today. I would have had it.
oh, yeah, she has it. Yeah, it's on.
Oh my god, amazing.
I'm wearing it on my neck as cologne.
Brandon's wearing it now.
Now, again, to be fair, trying to see all perspectives here, Blake Brown was always supposed to launch in August with Target Company. It Ends With Us was not. No, it was actually supposed to premiere on Valentine's Day. What? Yeah, weird choice. Honey, let's go out and celebrate our love with a movie about the complicated emotions surrounding DV. Ah, so rude. Anyways, the point is, the film was supposed to release months before her hair care brand was scheduled to release with Target. So I don't think this is what people made it out to be. Again, devil's advocate. Like, I usually don't have a problem with someone launching a new business at the same time they're promoting something else, especially when it's women starting businesses. Like, we need more women-owned businesses. I am a small woman-owned business with my production company and my apparel line, and this is something called cross-promotion. People and businesses have been doing it literally since the dawn of time, and don't get dragged to hell for it. It's usually very good business practice.
Am I the only person that thinks it is crazy that Blake Lively literally launched her hair care brand the same time as the movie Ends With Us is launching? Like, she simultaneously did that. It's obviously on purpose. I have never in my life seen a movie star release a personal brand the same time as a blockbuster movie comes out.
Listen, I get it. But also, there is some selective criticism going on. No one minded when Rihanna promoted her Fenty beauty line at the premiere of the movie Ocean's 8, and they shouldn't. No one cared when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson launched his tequila brand Terra Mona Tequila during the promotion of his film Jungle Cruise, a Disney film with a target audience of children.
Just a bottle of Terra. Just a bottle. Oh, good sound.
Cheers.
And certainly no one gave a when Ryan Reynolds launched a special edition Deadpool and Wolverine bottle of gin, which was tied to the film, a film with endless guns and violence, with the branded movie title and font and the little logo that they had to license to put on the freaking bottle. I'm not saying someone should have a problem with those brands. The alcohol in the kids movie one, that's weird. I'm just underlining the double standard. I think it's very likely that Blake Brown had contracts with Target Corporation back when the film was was supposed to come out in February, and the film date got pushed, and Target didn't. It can cost a lot of money to delay a release. It's likely it was coincidental timing, and I didn't really see her directly attach Blake Brown to the film. Oh, sorry, one more. Selena Gomez. She launched a collab by her brand Rare Beauty with the show Only Murders in the Building, a fictional show about a brutal murder that they have to solve for the season 4. Okay, you had a problem with that. And again, I don't think you should.
Hi guys, I'm so excited to introduce my new limited edition kit to celebrate the launch of season 4 of Only Murders in the Building.
Yes, Blake's film is about DV. To be fair, Deadpool is about killing people, and they market alcohol. I think there's plenty of other things to side-eye instead of the hair care. What I don't want to see happen is people that get so caught up in the hair care brand launch thing, unless you care about the representation of natural hair, but a lot of people aren't commenting on that. But the hair brand wasn't directly tied to the film launch, and I just don't want to see that sensationalism over that make other filmmakers afraid to make films about DV if they also have other businesses that they're launching, and we completely lose the conversation around DV altogether. Now, remember how I said there are product launches worthy of the side-eye? Blake isn't finished. But before we get to that, Colleen has entered the chat. As if Colleen Hoover hadn't learned a thing from the It Ends With Us coloring book, she took another shot with the Chet's notes. I'm reading the tea leaves, okay. Yeah, It Ends With Us themed nail polish. Yeah!
I really thought y'all were lying when I saw a picture of this. But here I am in the Target store. Yeah, it is true.
I guess technically it's for the sequel because it starts with beautiful nails, but still it's clearly piggybacking off the promotion of the prequel of a film about DV. I guess at least it's not a coloring book, but whatever. Back to Blake. So Blake promoted her company Betty Buzz and Betty Booze as an alcohol. Only this time it was very much tied to the marketing of the film alongside her alcoholic mixer company Betty Buzz. Now, I'm not sure I have to explain why some people might find it insensitive or downright disturbing to mix alcohol with a film about DV. Literally, they were specifically tied together. But that's where this is going. Blake had a brand under hubby Ryan Reynolds, a liquor brand aviation gin. It goes by Betty Buzz and Betty Booze. Yes, that is confusing. Betty Booze has alcohol, Betty Buzz does not, and they both have the same aviation theme as Ryan's gin. Now, side note here, Blake doesn't drink, which is like totally fine. I only started drinking 2 or so years ago, and my body can only handle about 1 glass of wine if I wanted to be able to function the next day, which is why I drink plenty of tea. But selling and marketing alcohol is, well, it's a bit odd for someone who doesn't drink. She explains it like this.
I didn't think you drank alcohol.
Oh, I don't drink alcohol. I eat it. Bourbon and whipped cream, sherry, vinaigrette. Really hard pressed to find anything I cook without alcohol. Do you like it?
Drinking isn't my thing, but for F's sake, flavor is. Homemade recipes, real fruit, real ingredients, quality booze, no crap, and also a real time saver, which is why I really did it. I think we know why Blake really did it.
This is a never-ending giant mountain of cash. And as much cash as you can carry, you can keep.
And that brings us to It Ends With Us. On the Betty Boo's Instagram account, they started dropping hints. Something full this way comes. Hashtag Betty Blooms. Betty Blue. Oh, I see what she did there. Let's continue. Perfectly cast ingredients for this summer's biggest sip, Betty Blooms, coming soon. And here it is. This was all lead up to and It Ends With Us, a film about DV's premiere after party, partnered with Blake Lively, who doesn't drink booze, brand Betty Booze. Now, don't worry, they have Betty Buzz, non-alcoholic variety there as well, right? Wait, hold up. Did you see the signature cocktails they were serving? Is that It Ends With Buzz? Tom Colleen's? Blooming Betty? Is that? No, they didn't. Ryle, you wait? Isn't Ryle the abuser? And we're naming drinks after him? Well, hold up before we pass any judgment. Let's see what's in a Ryle, you wait. And don't worry, they publish it very clearly on the Betty Buzz website. Betty Buzz ginger beer, bourbon, apple cider, cardamom bitters, cinnamon, apple floret garnish. They did it. They named an alcoholic drink after an abuser and put his name on it. Many people might think that this is tasteless, but they didn't stop at the after party. No, they opened a pop-up bar in New York so the public could get their own while you wait. And in case you were unclear if the booze and the film were promoting each other, well, here.
Because Majesty, only Paolo gonna take this and give you
a princess.
Hey, that's their audio and not mine. Okay, end scene. Blake also spent a fair amount of time promoting the clothing that she wears in the film. Actually, she seems to really enjoy talking about the fashion involved. Just remember that for later. But
we need to talk about the wardrobe in It Ends With Us, because what on earth was that?
Tell me this is not real. Tell me this is a joke and they are playing us.
Blake has always been heavily invested in fashion. It's been part of her brand since the Preserve days. And she's made it a point to talk about how she worked with the costume designer on It Ends With Us, someone who also worked on Gossip Girl, who styled the character of Lily Bloom using things Blake had in her closet. And generally, I think that, that's kind of like a cool little touch if the costume designer is cool with it.
I just really love those patchwork like jeans. Magnolia Pearl. Oh, yeah. Those are my real life jeans. Yeah, a lot of that is like your stuff.
Yes, those are Magnolia Pearl pants from Blake Lively's personal closet. The same Magnolia Pearl who had the Plantation 2012 collection that Blake was aware of.
I'm Eric Damon, the costume designer on It Ends With Us, and I'm going to take you through some of the looks of the film today. This bold striped shirt from Cezanne, the kind of oversized drape to it, mixed with these incredible tapestry patchwork pants from Magnolia Pearl.
Yes, Blake is still promoting the Plantation Pants designer 12 years later. I'm not saying anything anymore. Hopefully Miss Pearl isn't still promoting the bullshit. I'm just reporting it as I see it. Blake Lively talks about fashion a lot. She has for years, which brought up someone from the long ago past, chiming in on an old interview Blake gave with Norwegian entertainment journalist Kirsty Flog.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump. What about my bump? You got two nice ones.
And they are kind of bumps, aren't they?
No, not bumps. The lovely lady lumps. Check it out.
Thank you.
So, I know zillions of people are dragging Blake for this response. She's congratulated on her publicly known pregnancy and low-key insults the interviewer, which I thought was pretty weird and kind of nasty. But at the same time, I'm trying to remind myself, okay, I'm trying to be fair here, more fair than a lot of people are. This was likely one of countless interviews. Usually the way these type of pressers go is the actors or the directors, whoever, are like in a small room, and then it's just a revolving door of interviewers coming and going, and they get a couple of minutes with these stars or whatever, right? It's very quick, it's a very long day. And while Blake's pretty rude, and I don't think Kirsty meant anything malicious, perhaps Blake just didn't want her pregnancy discussed in press, which would be fair. I don't know, but I can imagine that. But then it gets kind of like Mean Girl.
I love most of his movies, and this one was so like visually amazing. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Did you guys love wearing those kinds of clothes?
Yeah. And working in digital. Everyone wants to talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
I would. I love Jesse's suits and how
that's what I'm saying. His wardrobe is beautiful. Corey's wardrobe.
I know.
He's those high-waisted pants.
He's so great.
I would wish men wore high-waisted pants like that still.
Blake has a point. There are gendered expectations for actors that get tiresome. I don't think that excuses being rude to a well-meaning, benign woman who's just doing her job as an interviewer. Since Blake is world-renowned for her fashion, and she literally had a fashion company, and she often defaults to talking about fashion when the question has nothing to do with fashion.
And she achieves her childhood dream. What's your childhood dream? To wear Britney Spears' Versace dress.
You have to wonder what made the interview with Kirsty any different.
So much to say about her style. I mean, I love Lily's style. I think when you see the film, her style makes sense because she's a woman of multitudes. It's storytelling. To me, fashion and costume design is storytelling. Those boots. Those are my real life boots. A lot of it's my real life clothes or my husband's clothes or my girlfriend Gigi's clothes. I want to pick up the scene. Oh, I'm wearing her stuff all over it. I have tons of like Bodhi, which is the suit now that I'm wearing is Bodhi. It was meant for my husband, but I borrowed it, his suit. It was meant for him to wear. But it's so pretty. Look at it. You guys are not getting it in the shots.
Kirsty interviewed Blake back in 2016, but didn't upload that video to her YouTube channel until August 10th, 2024, which was shortly after It Ends With Us premiered in New York, though Kirsty claims she had no idea there was controversy brewing.
I got contacted by another reporter who told me a story that was a little similar to this one that he experienced, and then we started talking about comparing notes about this, and then I just felt like, you know what, it's not okay to behave like that, and I think it needs to be called out. And I actually hadn't read up about all the other controversy that was going on with Blake Lively and It Ends With Us. So it was kind of a coincidence, I have to say, that this ended up being posted right now.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, after the video went viral, Kirsty revealed in a follow-up interview that she is actually unable to get pregnant, meaning Blake's little bump comment kind of cut that much deeper for her. Another wild part of this is that the movie Blake and Parker are there to promote is a little film called Cafe Society, which is directed by Woody Allen. Now, if you don't know about the Woody Allen allegations, all you need to know is it involves SA and children, one of which is his own stepdaughter. He also married one of his stepdaughters. Yes, he married the child of his ex-wife that he also raised since she was around 10 years old. When you hear the word grooming, not in the way that people misuse it all of the time lately, this would be a good use for that word, allegedly. And in 2016, more allegations resurfaced during the Me Too movement. But if you ask Blake what she thinks about Woody Allen, I could only know my experience. And my experience with Woody is that he's empowering two women. And that's where I'm leaving that. In the meantime, the media spin and speculation about Justin, Blake, and the fate of the film itself seemed like it was getting serious because Justin Baldoni hired the agency Group PR, a PR firm launched in June by Melissa Nathan, who interestingly worked for a decade with Matthew Hiltzik of Hiltzik Strategies, who worked to support like women in Jewish communities for Hillary Clinton campaigns, and is considered one of the world's leading PR firms. While she was there for 10 years, as you can guess, they have represented clients who are both polarizing and not polarizing. That is the nature of public relations, much like attorneys. Now, people sometimes try to make weird gotcha moments out of this and sensationalize it as if it's all black and white. But if you don't like one client someone represents, I mean, I certainly don't like some of them, you probably do like another client when you look at the entire roster, and none of them have anything to do with Justin Baldoni, as he is his own person with his own autonomy. It's kind of like, I'm not gonna blast Kesha, SZA, Britney Spears, Normani, or Shakira for signing with RCA Records, the same record label that refused to drop Chris Brown after he brutalized Rihanna. Some of these women signed not long after that attack. Like, I don't expect Shakira, Britney, or SZA to not work with RCA because I can't stand Chris Brown. Those women have their own autonomy in their work, and that would not be fair to them. So just to run down the tenure of PR clients past and present, they've repped Brad Pitt, the Chainsmokers, Johnny Depp, Drake, Dream Crew, and Fat Beats, which interestingly is a company that provides a hub for aspiring artists, primarily in Black and Brown communities, to be able to collaborate and distribute their artistic works, which is pretty cool if anyone needs that resource. And during the tenure before the new PR launch, that firm was also known for helping to build the public image of high-profile women like Katie Couric and Kelly Ripa, and also represented Darnella Frazier pro bono. That's the young teen at the time who recorded the murder of George Floyd, whose recording was a key piece of evidence that led to the conviction of Derek Chauvin. Like these clients, hate these clients. I personally think guilt by association is a slippery slope, and Justin Baldoni is his own entity, and I think should be treated as such. Now, back to the film backlash. I have to continually ask, is it warranted? The CEO of Sony Pictures made a statement defending Blake, and actor Brandon Sklenar also weighed in on the backlash against his co-star, vilifying the women who put so much of their heart and soul into making this film because they believe so strongly in its message seems counterproductive and detracts from what the film is about. It is, in fact, the opposite of the point. What may or may not have happened behind the scenes does not, and hopefully should not, detract from what our intentions were in making this film. I appreciate his refocus here, and I think it's valid to point out that often social media has an unbalanced level of scrutiny when it comes to male versus female celebrities. It's complicated, right? Like, while I can't condone the way Blake handled the majority of the press for this film, again, she's an actress doing a job. It just so happens to look like less of a caring job in the promotions when you compare her promo to Justin's and his track record.
With all the chatter around This Ends With Us, I have just felt so called to speak to the type of person Justin is because I have known him and his family for over a decade. Justin Baldoni started Wayfair Entertainment by a way to make an imprint and a positive impact in this lifetime. He continues to take on projects, and obviously bigger scale projects now, that have moving stories that can help positively impact someone else by shedding light on a situation. And this just so speaks and reflects to the type of character that Justin Baldoni has, and enough said.
So let's play some more devil's advocate here. This is a swoop doc, and we always look at nuanced perspectives. With regards to the film, there are still a lot of unknown variables. Why did the cast unfollow Justin? Are they mad at him? Was he an ass on production? Are they afraid of upsetting Blake Lively because she's perceivably has a much more powerful career and wealth and husband? There was a lot riding on this film, and Justin was trying to cater to legions of eager fans alongside some big personalities, as he pointed out. Every move is a miracle, and then of course you're navigating complex personalities and trying to get everybody on the same page with the same vision, and mistakes are always made, and then you figure out how to move past them. At times I think I've had people wondering if I know what I'm doing or if I have a point of view, because I'm so willing to have my vision changed. I don't believe that inspiration or creativity comes through one person. And let me tell you, as someone who is a director of film sets, music video sets, managing a whole production and a whole team and trying to make sure everyone is happy and of the same vision is not an easy task. You have to be very, very meticulous and constantly always thinking about absolutely everybody else. At the same time, you're also having to think about the quality of the production. It is a heavy burden to carry on your shoulders that honestly, if you have never done it, you just can't understand. You can think you understand, but you don't know till you've done it. That's what I'm gonna say there. So it's one thing if fans disagree with you, but it's another when it's your lead actress. So anonymous interviews with the crew of It Ends With Us, it definitely hints at tension on set. Quote, everyone knew that they didn't like each other. I think some of the rumors online seem a little strong. I don't think they hate each other, but I don't think they would work together again. Their styles are way too different. Blake is very business-minded and very practical. Justin is so on the other side of why he makes art that they were never going to be friends. Interesting line there. Blake has openly admitted to there being some creative differences on set, like her wanting to use the Lana Del Rey song Cherry at a certain point in the movie, even though they begged her to not to, but she fought to keep it in. There's also speculation that Justin and Blake had creative differences leading to 2 different cuts of the film, which isn't entirely unusual, but that Blake enlisted the help of Shane Reed, the editor of her husband's film Deadpool and Wolverine, to make her own edit behind Justin's back, which would be wild, in my opinion, to do to your director, to which he, quote, was made to feel that his vision wasn't as important as Blake's, and it stifled the creativity on set. Of course it would. Most people know that on a film set, the director is in charge, but there are other people making creative decisions about the film called producers. There are different types of producers, but all you really need to know is that executive producers typically outrank someone with a producer credit when it comes to making final creative decisions. Justin was the director, lead actor, and executive producer on the project, and Blake was also a producer on the project. She had a say, but it's a complicated equation when it comes to how much weight to give her voice, and at the end of the day, it's the studio who will have the final say over which cut of the film is the one that will be screened in theaters. But what isn't exactly normal is when Blake hosted her own screening with her preferred cut of the film 2 months before the official premiere. It was a small private screening as part of the Book Bonanza in Grapeville, Texas, and Brandon Spinar and Colleen Hoover were right there beside her. I mean, to be blunt, if Justin wasn't aware of this or didn't sign off on this or didn't like this, then it's kind of like a dick move. Completely undermining Justin's authority as the person who purchased the rights to adapt the movie, who was the director, whose production company produced the film, but, you know, I guess Blake gonna Blake there. And then there was a potential scabbing, and you know what? I'm a filmmaker, so of course, Penn University has a film department. Roll our cheesy animation intro. We've got a short lesson today, so stick with me for just a minute because this doc is long. Remember when I said that Ryan Reynolds worked on It Ends With Us?
The iconic rooftop scene in this movie, my husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but you know. But he wrote it. He works on everything I do. I work on everything he does. So his wins, his celebrations are mine, and mine are his. I mean, he's all over this film.
I heard that Ryan Reynolds wrote a scene for the film. Is that true?
Yeah, look, I think that I'm pretty sure that everybody at some point wrote something for the film. And yeah, Ryan, Blake, I'm just so grateful that there's so many collective heads going in to try to make something so beautiful.
Do you remember which scene?
He wrote on a few scenes, I believe, and suggested a lot of things that made the movie better. The guy's a creative genius.
It Ends With Us screenwriter Christy Hall said in an interview with People magazine that she had assumed the flourishes in dialogue were on-set improvisations, but apparently that's not the case. Ryan Reynolds rewrote scenes of It Ends With Us, which is not uncommon to have script changes made when a feature goes into production. They're not obligated to use the original writer or even tell them, which is disappointing maybe, but them's the biz, baby. Maybe you're thinking, but Swoop, if rewrites happen on set, then why does it matter if Ryan Reynolds wrote it? Well, excellent question, class. This happens to be a very special circumstance because even if It Ends With Us wanted to hire another person to do script rewrites, they couldn't, because the film started shooting just 3 days after the 2023 Hollywood writers' strike. And if they were shooting during the writers' strike and Ryan Reynolds, who is part of the Writers Guild of America, by the way, was doing rewrites on set, yeah, that would mean Mr. Deadpool just crossed the picket line. And maybe this doesn't seem like a big deal to some of you, but for the rank and file entertainment industry worker, this is giving Scab a big bad, considering lesser-known writers weren't able to work or pay their rent over the strike, and Blake just kind of let that slip out in an interview. Now, I should point out that Justin would also have to sign off on rewrites, but it's hard to say how responsible he is or if he was strong-armed into it by the power couple. Either way, this little faux pas made people feel like Blake and Ryan are not for the people. Okay? Class dismissed. Again, none of that explains why the cast and crew shunned Justin. And let me point out, sources have also said that there are crew standing by him. They just aren't famous, so no one's really paying attention. But there was a story that made some surprising allegations about Justin's behavior on set. Allegedly, Justin was prepping to film a scene in which he has to physically lift Blake, and he approached the on-set trainer to ask how much Blake weighed. Supposedly, Blake found out about this, and she felt like he fat-shamed her. Now look, she's allowed to be sensitive about her weight. Most of us are at any size, though to be clear, if you are higher weight, you are f***ing beautiful as you are, exactly as you are, and please don't forget that. The thing is, Justin has a long history of back problems. Here's an old video I dug up of him from 2017 getting treatment.
I've destroyed my body over the years with sports and not stretching. This year I'm dedicated to healing, so you'll see me post a lot about the human garage because my buddy Gary here started it.
The man literally got stem cells injected into his herniated disc in his spine. A lot of you know, I live with chronic pain and a spinal injury. There's no way in hell I would lift another person. So why in the world would there be an issue with him asking a professional trainer on set how much weight he was expected to lift and how to do that safely? It's also been alleged by a third party that Justin held a kiss with Blake longer than she was comfortable with, which would make it challenging for her to disclose to the director because Justin is the director. I hope that wasn't a scenario that happened. To note, there was an intimacy coordinator on the set of It Ends With Us, and Justin has noted the importance of that role several times.
I wanted to make sure that those scenes had a female gaze. And in no way was I running them through my male brain. As much as I can try to see the world as a woman, I never will be. Early on, we brought on an intimacy coordinator, and I started meeting with her to figure out, what are ways that I can shoot this? How can this always reflect back, one, the source material, and while we might not be recreating exactly what was in the book, how can we recreate the feeling and the emotion and what Lily was experiencing in each of those scenes.
As defined by the Screen Actors Guild, an intimacy coordinator is an advocate, a liaison between actors and production, and a movement coach and or choreographer in regards to nudity and simulated S and other intimate and hyper-exposed scenes. Having an intimacy coordinator on set should help mitigate any discomfort involved when performing intimate scenes, and it's Justin's responsibility, not just as the actor, but as the director, to ensure the safety and comfort of the cast and crew on his sets. I have no idea what to make of this because it's all coming from alleged sources and not her directly, and we don't know Justin's response, so I'm just saying it and just kind of leaving it there. And for one more criticism against Justin, because again, we show all perspectives here, while he continuously foregrounds DV awareness and being a voice for survivors in his interviews, Justin has also interviewed a pretty controversial guest on his Man Enough podcast, Drake Bell.
One of the reasons I do podcast is because we want to have very honest conversations. I feel like you want to know there's accountability that needs to happen. I have to take accountability for
choices that I've made and make amends as well.
Where'd you go wrong?
Now, in case you're not familiar, Drake Bell was an actor on a Nickelodeon show who was featured in the HBO documentary Quiet on Set, and Drake Bell was featured discussing the abuse he survived. He also pled guilty to child endangerment over inappropriate interactions with a child, and I'm condensing this because he's not the focus today. He'll tell you that he's innocent, but he's also been accused of being incredibly abusive to his ex-partner, Melissa. May she be safe. Now, I'm not deep diving this, but to be fair, just as from the perspective as an interviewer, just because Justin has someone on his podcast that has been accused of some very serious SA doesn't mean Justin condones it. I think the film and all the work that he's been doing highly underscores that he doesn't condone that. And if that were the default setting, then most interviewers would never interview controversial people, which would then be a detriment to society. Like, as an interviewer myself, I would take the opportunity to interview a serial killer. That clearly doesn't mean I condone killing. Now, with my professional style, I would want to grill the hell out of them, but that's not every interviewer's style, and that's a good thing. Diversity of approach. We want that. If someone's style is to not grill, I don't want them to, because that can get messy. All in all, I would rather hear from the people we may or may not agree with to have more context. It makes us more informed, and then we can fact check. So I keep coming back to that anonymous quote from a crew member on the set. Blake is very business-minded and very practical. Justin is so on the other side of why he makes art that they were never going to be friends. That sounds very much like Justin is very the emotional, compassion, empath, making art for the art to reach people, and Blake is very business. There's nothing wrong with either one, but I think that's very telling as to why the press and the promo and all this stuff has gone the way it does. Overall, as you would look at it, Justin currently seems like he's getting through all of this bad press a little less scathed than Blake, although I don't think he's feeling great about it. His comments are still on social media. He's actively posting, whereas Blake's comments on IG have been turned off and she's not posting other than stories. Colleen Hoover also has her IG comments turned off and her TikTok is still private.
Oh, how did Blake Lively delete her Instagram? So on Instagram, it's not really deleting your Instagram because you just hide your posts and then you can get them back if you want. But only pop stars do it, and I'm in.
You're in the Illuminati.
I'm campaigning to become a pop star.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought it would bring me one step closer.
Here's the thing. There's a lot of past and present discourse from people who have been around Blake saying that they think she's difficult to work with. And I think, when you see the clips of her saying that she can't just act without also producing, that's not the type of approach that a lot of people on set want, that does cross lines and step on a lot of toes and can feel very pushy.
This is obviously you're taking on a lead role as well as being a producer on this film. How do you find balancing the two of those?
Well, I'm not the type of actor who can act without producing, you can't just put me in any clothes and give me any words and have me step in and transform.
And there are people that are saying that she and Ryan steamrolled Justin, and I think that's entirely likely. I haven't found people saying Justin is a pain to work with. He has a long-standing track record of approaching art with a higher level of sensitivity, and he brought on the No More Foundation from the start. I mean, he was literally journaling as Ryle to try to find all of the nuance of the character and try to relate so that again he could present Lily, survivors in general, in the most empathetic and sensitive way possible. It is just a level of detail and care that I don't often see with filmmakers, and I don't think that should be dismissed. I get the feeling that Justin is a much more quiet-natured, empathy-driven person, and Blake is more the grandiose business Hollywood bulldozer type like her husband. I know from my own experience that when you are more quiet, compassion-driven, and keep to yourself, make art for art's sake, it's easier to feel overwhelmed and get steamrolled sometimes by those who might be barking louder in the room. And if I had to guess, I think that's what maybe happened to Justin. And it's unfortunate, just all around. I think the cast and crew follow Blake because maybe they like her, or she has a lot more power in the industry. She's got a powerful career, powerful husband, and the world's most powerful friends like Taylor Swift. What actor would want to burn those bridges? Yes, I think Blake's approach to promoting the film about DV kind of sucked. As a survivor, it felt a bit disingenuous and dismissive a lot of the time. But at least we can drink her signature cocktail named after the abuser. But I don't think this should cancel her or Justin. C'est la vie. I think if we want advocacy, we should focus on people with a track record for it. Like, you'll get better results. And yes, even if they have varied approaches or use humor, different styles appeal to different people. That's okay, because I also think that we should be careful about gatekeeping how people talk about Dee Dee in general. Like, if we get too hypercritical, then people might never want to have the conversation. And maybe that's why Blake never did have the conversation. Who knows? Would have been cool, didn't happen, we move on. I am sorry to see the message of the film get kind of lost at times with this controversy, but somehow at the same time it's given the film a lot more press, so hopefully somehow there is a net positive in the long run. Will a sequel happen? Who knows? If not, perhaps the story truly does end with Justin and Blake, which is probably the last thing anyone wanted. I am exhausted. I think we need a bit of a kitty palette cleanser. Excuse the tone shift, and then I will conclude with my final thoughts. As a reminder, again, small woman-owned business here. You can grab your pieces from the Petty University Ballad Collection and the Ballad Ribcage by tapping the link below and in the pinned comment. I designed these pieces for anyone who is looking for clothing with positive reminders that you are incredible, beautiful, and valid no matter what you look like, what your beliefs are, what you've lived through, or what you want to do with your life. Positive clothes make me feel good. I'd rather see positive messaging than nothing at all. So if you're looking, I truly believe you're going to love these pieces as much as I do. And for all my fellow spoons out there, my chronic illness survivors, the rib cage, okay? It hits a little different. It's like our own little secret coded message. And please do keep tagging me with your outfit photos. I love reposting you on my IG stories. Also, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, both linked below. That's where I post most often, have polls, check in on life, and post opportunities to be featured in upcoming Swoop docs. A couple of shout outs from my last doc, The Downfall of Mr. Beast and Ava Chris Tyson. That one goes deep, so check it out, linked below. First shout out goes to Lauren, who says, "It's not drama, it's dangerous. Thank you, Swoop." That story certainly was dangerous. It was very dark, a lot darker than this one. And thank you for watching and being open to listening. I so appreciate all of you in our community here. And second shout out goes to Alton, who says, "Thank you for reaching out to us trans people. It means so much that you felt the need to make clear that Ava being trans has nothing to do with these allegations. And if I'd known about the questionnaire, I would have also shared my own experience." Again, thank you so much for sharing. You are so worthy. And if anyone is interested, again, in being part of the interview questions for upcoming docs, please do follow me on Twitter. That's where I make all of the announcements, like the Nikocado doc that I have coming up. I had a lot of questionnaires from a lot of you that will be featured in that. Also, I have a new second channel called Swoop 2, T-O-O. That's where we dig into the dark waters of the cesspool, where we dig into all kinds of mind-bending stories, true crime, and unhinged stories. It's more unhinged over there. The videos are much shorter, so yeah, it's great. Huge thank you to our channel members and to our Patreon producers. I have been revamping the whole Patreon page and posting some special extended videos. I call them the after school special or detention, depending on my mood. Thank you for subscribing. We really do have the most amazing community, and I'm so thankful for each and every single one of you. Be sure to check out the most buttery soft undies and bralettes ever with MeUndies' new Dream Seam line, and go to MeUndies.com/swoop and use code SWOOP to get 20% off your first order plus free shipping, and treat yourself, honey. You deserve it. Intimate partner V is very common. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men are victim to some form of physical V by an intimate partner in their lifetime. On average, it takes a victim of abuse about 7 attempts before they finally leave their abuser. Unfortunately, the violence often escalates after each attempt. A film like It Ends With Us is not only a window into understanding people who are suffering through an abusive relationship, but it's a massive opportunity to garner support for survivors and the organizations that help them. I've linked a few resources in the description below if you'd like to learn more or share with others, and I'll leave you with this. If you have lived through abuse, please hold your head up high. You are a survivor of something you never should have had to know, and I see you. We see you. You are brave, you are worthy, you are valid, and I'm so thankful that you're here, that you made it to see another day. I know it wasn't easy at all. I know the pain of feeling isolated, lost, confused, and the shame that often comes with what you've lived through. And I want to be just another reminder that it's not your fault. It never was. Whether you share your story or you decide you're not ready to, just know you're incredibly brave and you are so much stronger than anyone who's harmed you. Please be kind to yourself and know that your healing journey is on your timing and no one else's. How you process is how you process, and you will get through this. Just here. And when you're ready to smile again, and you will smile again, say it with me. Stay ready, stay petty. Class dismissed. Swoop!
Controlling Bravo. Securing B.
Today you will see situations from everyday life that will make you more cautious.
Hey, my man, you gotta get over on the other side of the thing. You know what I'm saying?
There was a description of a van like yours. I was trying to pick up 2 little kids.
And to be more protective of your loved ones.
They took my kids. She was a fan again.
Yeah, they said you waved them over, said you
No.
Because dangerous minds are everywhere.
Broke into my Las Vegas apartment and stole me from my home. Watchdog Kilo incoming on your location. Losing Bravo.
We will start with Gabrielle and her totally bizarre case. This mother of twin boys let her friend Angela, whom she had met online in a motherhood group, into her house. Then suddenly Angela verbally attacked Gabrielle and demanded her to hand over her 6-week-old babies. A fight ensued, and at one point, Angela pulled out a weapon, wounded Gabrielle, and fled with the babies.
I was in the house and somebody banged. They didn't ring the doorbell at first. They just started banging, like something like the police. But, and I'm like, and I'm trying to get to the door because I went down to den with my youngins. And by that time, I guess she figured to hit the doorbell, so she actually hit the doorbell. And when I came out, she was right there. She's like, I got shot. They took my kids. She was just panicking. And so she sat down on my bench for a few minutes. Then she laid back. Then she got up again. She kept saying, Catherine. And I said, you know, because I called 911 while I was talking to her. She said, call 911. I've been shot. I said, where you been shot? Because I didn't see it at first. She was in my ear. You could see her ear was like whatever. And so I kept talking to her, trying to keep her coherent, because I know I don't want her to pass out on me. Well, obviously she did pass out when the guy shot her. So I don't know anything. I never heard no shots. She just came to my door.
How are the injuries?
She said one in the head, one in the chest, and then one in the leg.
So, and then she walked over this way?
She ran. The scenes inside that house, it looks like it happened right in front of the living room. The car seat is sitting right there. There's blood kind of like all around the car seat. She said that she has kids inside. She just heard banging and hollering at the door. When she came out, she was collapsed in front.
And the kids are gone.
The suspect. Hold on a second. The suspect is a Kathleen Daniels, black female. This is straight from the victim. She's talking. Kathleen Daniels, she's black female and works at Memorial Hospital. Came here, supposedly she met her in a mommy's group, and she was bringing her formula. And then next thing she knows, this is what a friend over there said, that she was meeting this lady from on a mommy's group, bringing her formula. And next thing she knows, she came home, the friend came here, and there's blood everywhere. And but coming from the victim, Kathleen Daniels, black female, works at Memorial Hospital. She's the one that shot her and took the kids.
Did you get all that?
But she don't know what vehicle she was driving. She didn't see it.
Just to clarify something, the aforementioned suspect named Kathleen is actually Angela. She lied to Gabrielle from the very beginning, giving her a false name, but we'll get to that.
What do we care about?
Well, the victim.
Finding the children.
Correct.
The victim is here being treated. We care about finding the kids.
Let's go then. I got a photo. Hey, my man, you gotta get on the other side of the thing. Get on the other side of the thing. I'll tell you in a second. Calm down.
Talk to you. Let us talk to you first.
Calm down, brother. What happened to her? What do you mean she was shot?
That hurts.
She gotta explain it to you, man.
The police then rushed to the address where Angela lives and there found her confused mother and sister, and they immediately found the kidnapped babies.
Y'all know whose babies those were?
My daughter's.
What's your daughter's name?
Angela.
Those are Angela's babies? Are you sure? You sure Angela didn't lose her babies? She never told you? Okay. But you think those are Angela's babies?
That's what she said.
Is that the first time you've seen those babies?
Yes.
Oh, you got the baby?
back seat, front seat. Hey, babies. All right. All right. Hey, darling.
Somebody advise if we have both.
We have both. We have both.
Ready for the next photo? Who's that? You recognize her? Who's that? Say it again. Kathleen?
At the same time, another team arrested Angela, who revealed she had had a miscarriage but refused to admit that she kidnapped Gabrielle's twins. According to her version of the story, she has a twin sister who committed the kidnapping that day and asked Angela to take care of the babies. That version sounded very strange, especially when you hear what Gabrielle had to say.
This morning, with plans to tell my fiance that I'm not, that I miscarried.
Okay.
I swear on everything I love. I got a call. You can check it. Someone if you have it. It was from Destiny, and her name's Destiny.
Destiny?
Her name on her driver's license reads Destiny Scott 2598. She's a New York driver's license.
Okay.
And I don't know the numbers.
Okay.
I got a call telling me to come to Gabby's address. And I did.
Okay.
By the time I showed up there, I promise I just drove off. I didn't even, like I was driving my sedan this morning. I saw everything that was on the thing, and I knew for a fact I'm not opposed to, I knew whose kids came into the house. First time I ever saw those kids this morning was at the St. Joseph's. That's where I saw them. Now, did my gut tell me that it was Gabby's kid and Gabby probably didn't just let this go? Maybe. Honestly, Gabby was pregnant, so I don't know what I thought. But I didn't ask any questions, and I said, what do you want me to do?
She came behind me with a charger cord, phone charger cord, and wrapped it around my throat. She was trying to like choke me with it, but I had used and like kind of pushed her back.
Okay.
And like got out from under it. And then I was running and I heard a pop. I was trying to get to the boys, but the door was closed and I was like, I need to go get help. And then I heard another pop. And I fell. And then I got up. Ran to the neighbors, banged on their door. They didn't answer, so I remember running across the street and falling, knocking on that door. And then that's really all I can really remember. And then she kept saying, I'm taking the boys, I'm taking the boys. And I was like, what? No, you're not, you're taking my kids. She was like, they're not yours. And I was like, they are mine. Like, I just was so confused.
And this was before or after the charge?
During. Her trying to choke me with the charger cord. I see my sister running out of the house. And I'm like, the boys, she took my boys.
But she's been in the house a couple before that?
Yeah, she's come over. She dropped some stuff off for me when I was pregnant with the boys still in the hospital. She came and brought some stuff to the hospital for me. She's just been a really good support. And I just was so confused on what was going on.
That's some serious mama bear energy. For you to be able to run, because first you ran over to the neighbors next to you in the brick house, and then you ran across the street, 13, 14, 12, 14, right across the street. You were able to, now you've been shot 3 times, and you were able to tell them, not basically, what you told them what happened. And then you were able to tell your sister, and then your sister was able to tell us.
Because Gabrielle stayed calm, the police were able to recover her babies and arrest the suspect. Angela was charged with aggravated assault and kidnapping and was sentenced to 70 years in prison.
We gotta talk to you. You got an idea on you? Yeah. We'll talk to you in a second. Someone's gonna come and talk to you here and explain everything's going on. You got an ID? Alright. You put your ID out, my man? Well, someone's gonna come talk to you. Are you the owner of the car? Yes, I am. You got valid license and stuff? Yes. Okay. Alright. Just relax, my man. It'll all be... we gotta talk to your passenger. Alright, it doesn't even involve you. So relax. Alright, someone's gonna come up and talk to them. Yeah, they wanted us to stop the car so they can talk to them. So relax. It's more of a... not you. Alright. Hey, dear, you wanna come back and sit in my car and he can talk to you in private? I'm in trouble? No. If you're, like I said, my man, if you're in trouble, we already grabbed your car. So.
He's the detective and he's the sergeant, so he'll be able to answer any questions you got, okay?
Your passenger. You know him that well? My friend. He wants to talk to her. Is it her, him, what is it? Will she identify as her? Okay. Yeah, I'm not trying to be rude or insensitive. I just didn't know which way to go with it. And there's no easy way of talking about it. Just have a seat and he'll come talk to you. He wants to talk to her. Something's going on with her. Yeah, I gotta do all this? Yeah. Put your feet in. I'll roll the windows down. I'm gonna sit in the car with you and hang out. Good effect. You want that out of your way? Yeah, slide that over the line.
The police officer mentions a person in the passenger seat because he fears they might be kidnapped. You are currently seeing what led up to this traffic stop. The footage shows 30-year-old Diaron attempting to kidnap a 16-year-old girl in broad daylight on the street. He gave up after she put up a strong resistance, and cameras then caught him entering his car, which the police quickly located. To make matters worse, Diaron was released from prison just 4 days ago, and it looks like he will be going back soon.
The main issue is her. So you can relax, man. I ain't bullshitting you. The main thing is her. So that's why I think he just... Yeah, no, the main thing is her.
Finish the job.
So that's why he's talking to her first. Just... Yeah, so I mean, just relax. I can tell by the look on your face, you're like, what the fuck?
This police officer was called to stop the vehicle, and he actually doesn't know that Diaron is the very person they are looking for.
You just had the wrong person in your car. You know what I mean? So, I appreciate you cooperating. You know, people swoop down on me, I'd be like, what the f*** too? No, I don't think so. I'll be honest, I don't think anyone's going to jail. Well, he's a detective, and I think she's saying something, so I think I don't know. When did you get out? 4 days ago. And look where you're at already. So, you know what I mean? How old are you? I'm 30, so I think it's time to make a little bit better decisions. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
This morning, after you left your house, you said between 6 and 6:30. You drove down Arlington to Neville, parked this car on Neville, walked up to the bus stop at the corner of Arlington and Neville. There was a 16-year-old girl that was standing there waiting for the bus to go to school. He kind of stood around, pretending like he was waiting for the bus for a couple minutes, and he grabbed her and tried to drag her back to the car. She grabbed onto the fence there, fought him off. And when the bus started coming up, she started screaming, "Here comes the bus." He had her phone, he threw her phone at her, and took off running, got in his car and paid off. What? So I don't know if he was going to assault her, if he was going to her. I don't know what his intentions were, but that's what he did. The whole thing's caught on video.
I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you a heads up that the best way to handle things at our age is to be honest. I mean, we're not 15-year-old kids where you try and lie our way out of it. But everything that can be recorded, in this world, man, there's cameras everywhere. I'm sure you've been to court and you see how things go in court. If you're honest and cool and tell people you f***ed up or whatever, it goes a lot easier. You know what I mean? stop out here, I gotta put you in cuffs because when we go into county, you have to go in cuffs. So when you get out, just face that way. I'm not moving, but just face that way. And put your hands on your back, all right?
And he tried to put the kid inside the van. Like a kid. Yes.
You what?
He uses his son.
He uses his son?
Yes, he has another son, and he uses his son.
You ever seen him before?
Yes, that's one of the vehicles right there. They used to live.
What do you mean? What vehicle?
This, I don't know what that is.
The purple one?
No, the silver car, where the purple car is.
Yeah, the Cadillac.
Yeah, that one.
What
That's
about
where they know. That's their vehicle, and they drive also a big white van. The guy is in a green shirt right now. This isn't the first time that I've had to sit here and tell them to leave my kids alone. My kids play here.
So who came out of the van and physically grabbed the kid?
No, tried to physically. The girl.
Which?
The girl.
Okay, that was inside the van. There was a male and a female occupying it.
Yes.
She pops out of the truck.
Yes.
Grabs your kid.
Tries to grab my
Tries to grab your kid.
I guess they didn't see that my kid's father. My kid's father was outside in his truck, and he came out.
He say literally, listen to me. I want to go to the gas station. I'm going to put gas in my truck. I'm going to come back to kill everybody in this house.
Is it a beat-up van? Is it a new van?
No, it's an old van. It's an old van.
Calls advising a van came up to the residence and attempted to grab the kid. And obviously didn't get the kid, but he drove off northbound, Fred.
He said, what was it, black or white male?
Black.
White guy, green shirt, driver, female inside the van. Officer. This is one of the ladies.
Charlie 5.
Say, look at my face. Look
Okay, give me a second. That's the one that grabbed the kid?
Yes.
Was it right here?
Yeah.
I took the picture.
You've heard it all. The residents of this street tried to lure a neighbor's child into their van, but the mother and her husband stopped them. To make matters worse, the kidnappers also used their young son when trying to commit a crime, and this wasn't their first time. The police now have a description of the van and a picture of one of the perpetrators and are taking action. They will literally stop every white van in the area to find the suspects.
Show me your hands. Face forward. Face forward. Hands up.
Hands up.
Step back with me.
Yeah, step backwards. Come here, boss. All right, walk back to me. All right, stop. I checked here, though. I work there. Yep. How's it going, man? Where are you coming from?
Work? Right over here. I was just coming from the office.
The reason we pulled you over is because there was a description of a van like yours. I was trying to pick up two little kids.
Oh, no, I just left the office and get my fish sandwich right here.
Do you care? Can you just open the door just so we can make sure there's no kids or anything?
You're good. She's walking with her son. They're turning and she's telling my kids to come follow her.
Okay.
She's a crackhead. She's literally a crackhead.
No, stay there. Stay in the car. Get back in the car.
Ice the sharpshooter. Where are they at?
Driver, put your hands out the window. Just keep your hands out the window. Nope, I'm not going to listen right now. Drop your phone. Drop your phone.
Put it down. Put it down, please.
I will put it down for you. That's your son?
Yeah, that's my son.
All right, ready for him? All right, with one hand, open that door. Step out. Turn towards the van. Turn towards the van. All right. Do you have any other kids or no?
Thanks, Father.
All right, get it. What's up, buddy? You all right?
What's going on?
What's up, buddy?
Bravo zone secure.
Step out.
Take it in.
Here, step out. I got you. Come here.
What's up? Where my son's gonna go, please?
Your son's not going anywhere right now. Give me a vape.
What? Hold on, please. I'm asking nicely. My son's not going anywhere, but why am I on everybody? Why am I being handcuffed?
So, we get a report
Okay.
A suspicious van. Is someone matching your description, and I'm assuming it's your boyfriend or your husband. What happened? I'm not even gonna ask you that. So we get a report of someone trying to kidnap a child. Okay. So, and you guys match the description to a T. All right, and that's all I can really tell you right now. So we're gonna figure this out, and we're gonna cross the bridge as it comes.
Okay.
So, who's he to you? Is that your boyfriend?
That's my husband, my son's father.
You're standing back on it. It's like, that's not safe.
Do you afford a license?
In my backpack, in the backpack with the sunflowers.
Okay.
It's in there.
Do you pronounce your first name Tiana?
Diana. T-A-I-A-N-A.
Oh, Diana. Diana.
Get over here right now, dog. I'll see you here. There's the. Can't use the phone right now.
Why?
You're being detained.
How am I being detained for what?
You're being detained because you fit the description.
That doesn't matter. That's against the law, bro. That's against the law. Y'all didn't even read me my rights. Y'all didn't tell me nothing. For what?
You match the description.
Of what?
Fine.
Of a crime? Somebody that hit my baby mama in front of my son?
Baby, relax.
Hey, I'm answering. You need to answer my questions, right?
Yes, tomato.
Yeah.
A-I.
A-I.
A-N-A.
All right.
This looks nice.
You like it?
This is how it looks when you're on gel.
My question is, okay, there was a report that I was kidnapped in my car. But was there a report in 19 that I got my lip busted by a guy?
That was included, yeah. Yeah.
So he's the one that reported it? Because
No, he didn't.
Fighting for his sister. And I flicked the sister off. Why did he come and punch me?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
But a cop got the report. A cop was the one that saw what happened and reported it to you guys. A guy on a blue car.
Blue car?
On a blue truck.
All right, well, Tiana.
Hold on, because I want to
Stand.
my rights.
We're going to stay in your car.
You guys put my son
I'm not asking you any incriminating questions.
I saw my
I'm going to close the door. If you put your leg in the door frame, you're going to get hurt.
You guys are
You need to
stealing my
move.
son.
I'm not stealing your son.
So why did you guys put him in that car over there?
Put your foot back in.
To answer my question.
Not yet.
Tiana is angry because she believes that the father of the girl she and her husband tried to kidnap should be held accountable for hitting her. As you will soon find out, the father was trying to protect his daughter from Tiana, and she then physically attacked him, prompting him to hit her in self-defense. Now the police will bring the suspects in for identification and will take statements from the parents and the girl who almost became a victim. Their stories will align, clearly showing that Tiana and her husband had malicious intentions.
We'll ride over there where we stop the car. They're not going to see you. Am I going to put the window out for you? So we'll drive by. They're going to hold the email up. You're like, that's her. It's her. It's not. It's not.
Let's go. Got things to do, people to see.
Sniper,
Let's just make sure. I don't have nothing, bro. I wish I did, bro.
Tell me exactly what happened. From like your side.
So I was in the car. She was leaving. But right before that, I see my daughter go inside and she's like, with a face.
Like scared.
They already had told me a month ago my daughter felt uncomfortable. That lady was trying to talk to her.
Yeah.
But when she drove off, the lady comes out, starts, don't worry, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get her. No, just out loud. So I'm right here and I'm like, what's going on? You alright? She started going off, going crazy. And she came running and just ran up to me. And I told her, yo, back up. And she just kept coming back. To the point that I wanted to hit her, but I didn't. I was back there. So I was like, there at her. And she swung at me and then spit at me. And as a reaction, I hit her in the mouth.
Okay.
That was a reaction.
Okay. So right now, when I interviewed, I talked to your daughter. Your daughter saying that the lady was like, come here. Come here. Ask Roland.
That's what I was figuring. Because I remember you told me like a month ago that she felt like, you know, that she was trying to take
And then he's saying same thing. Is the stories combined that the lady, both of them were like trying to get your daughter to come to the van.
Hostile UAV established overhead.
If you thought things couldn't get worse, you're mistaken. In Las Vegas, a witness saw a pair kidnap a girl and forcefully push her into a car. When the police found her, the distressed girl was in shackles. She revealed shocking details of her abduction to the officers. Apparently, the kidnapper was her ex-boyfriend, who is